I didn't choose long snapping. It kind of chose me because I was the guy who could do it, and it was a way to get on the field, and it became something where I could help the team. Tore my ACL in December of 03. I woke up from surgery, and first guy to come see me was Brady. He was there 5-10 minutes, not a long time, but I just needed to know that someone cared, and he took time out of his schedule to come say hi and see how I was doing. So,
and you're talking about it now 20 years later.
I know.
Hey, today we're joined by Lonie Paxton of the New England Patriots with 4 Super Bowl appearances. And we're talking about his journey to long snapping and how he almost didn't make it to college, how he found his superpower, what a Super Bowl ring does to change your life, and then lastly, a few times he almost went off the rails due to injury or discouragement. So let's get into it.
Lonie Paxton, NFL alumni, thank you so much for being here. It's great to see you.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
4 Super Bowls, 3 wins. Man, why football? How'd that happen?
Oh, crazy. I mean, my dad was a big inspiration for me, and started taking me to Ram games early, since I can remember. He had season tickets. Worked construction. My mom did nails forever. Then she became a sheriff's dispatcher. But, literally the biggest purchase of the year was the season tickets. And so he would take me to these games, and, it wasn't a big tailgater. So we'd go in early, and we'd watch all the theatrics before the game. It would be Frisbee dogs, the cheerleaders, the players warming up, the band, all these things. And right in front of our seats was the long snapper, where he would kind of be doing his thing. And those guys come out early, so you would see them snapping and kicking. And I grew up being able to throw really well. I played baseball and could pitch and stuff. And I was quarterback, always throw the football really far. And I was like, wow, that's amazing how that guy could, throw it between his legs so accurately and so fast. So I picked that up along the way. And, I never played tackle football until my freshman year. I was too big. So I played flag football and played basketball and played other sports, rode BMX and stuff. But football I gravitated because we'd watch the Sunday games. And then when they, like who can play these positions, it became something where I could help the team. And so, I didn't choose long snapping. It kind of chose me because I was the guy who could do it. And it was a way to get on the field, and it paid off.
So it was like this passion came because you're with your dad, which is a special moment.
Right.
And all of a sudden you were interested in that's weird. That's a weird skill.
It was. And yeah, I thought it was cool. It was like, oh, can you do that? No. Well, I can do that. And, it was really to help the team. And, at the end of the day, no one wants to be a long snapper. Maybe today they do because of, guys like me who made a career out of it. But back then it was like, that was the one thing no one really wanted to do. But it helped you get on the field. And so I like the aggressiveness of football, the passion, the camaraderie, the scheduling, every Monday's a Monday, every Tuesday's a Tuesday, then all that work pays off for that Friday or that Sunday or Saturday. And so it was a way to really help the team, and being a football player, it's really these little teams make the bigger team run, and so it became this team within itself, the snapper, holder, kicker, snapper, punter, kicker. And so we have this kind of team atmosphere for the bigger team. Along the way, I played offensive line, got a scholarship to play offensive line, and was long snapping. So it was just something, that extra tool in my box to help you get there.
So when you started football, it was high school.
Yeah, or tackle. Yep.
Tackle football. And it wasn't as a long snapper as O lineman?
I was quarterback.
Oh, you're quarterback.
So I was a quarterback my freshman year. I could throw really well. So I was quarterback, long snapper, and played D-line. And in our third game, we sucked. We were 0-11. We only scored 4 times, and I had 2 touchdown passes, and I ran for 2 touchdowns. So I was a part of 4 touchdowns. That's all we scored. We were basically a track team that year because all the coach did was yell at us and make us run after practice. But in our third game, it was on 2. The center snapped it on 1. I dived for the fumble. I break his ankle. They moved me to center. Same game. So I never looked back. I remember after the game, my coach, who was Harley Davidson dude, wore a bandana, had a beard. He was actually in a wheelchair because he had a back surgery. And so, he was just, cussing guys out and just really aggressive coach. He's like, son, that's the last time you ever threw a ball in a game because you ain't getting any smaller. So I started in the gym and kept playing basketball and kept working on long snapping and offensive line.
And so when did this become just like a hobby or fun to I might be able to go to college on this? When did that transition occur?
Well, as you get college interests, they send on all these letters, or they did back then. I'm sure they still do it, but so you go to a few games and you do these camps and you start getting some letters. And so the tone was, oh, it's going to happen. You're going to go to this big school and get all this opportunity to play D1 college football. And it never really came for me. And I started kind of, detouring with, bad friends and negativity and, on the verge of getting in trouble with all these different things. And as I said, my mom was a sheriff's dispatcher, so luckily she kind of knew the local authorities, and if I was ever, on too fine of a line, I get my wrist slapped and stuff. But I remember, not really doing the right things, and then the scouts came down and said, hey, what else can you do? Can you do this? You can play offense. You can long snap. You can long snap pretty good. And I never got a trip to go anywhere. I was expecting to, UCLA, San Diego State, all the big schools never happened. Sacramento State came down and offered me a trip. So, of course, first one who wants me, I'm going there. And till this day, some of the best friends I have in my life, and really got a taste of college football. And I remember, after a long night out where they host you, they don't let you sleep. You go out and you rip up the town. And I think we ripped up the town on $25, $40 or something crazy. I show up at practice the next day in flip-flops and no sleep, and I saw their long snapper out there, and I'm like, that's your college long snapper? That's, and I knew in my head I could do it way better, and threw about 10 lasers to the coach who was hosting me and the players hosting me. I stopped practice, brought the head coach over and said, hey, do that again. And I did it right there, and it's like, hey, you want to play in the fall? I was like, okay. So I literally left there with a scholarship to play that next year.
So at this point in the game, it was just pure passion. This is just, I love this game.
Yeah.
I'm just going to see where it takes me.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the only chances I had to go to college, was to really ride this out, and I felt like I wasn't going to happen. And so, like I said, it was changing my mental state. It was changing my relationship with my parents. It was changing my relationship. I was choosing the bad friends over the good friends because I thought it was not going to happen. And so all these expectations were really not being met. And then all it took was that one moment for someone to want me, and then it rekindled that passion. And I saw what college football could be and how you could grow as a person, as a friend, as a teammate, as an athlete. And so when I went to Sac State, it just really amplified that. I was around people who had the same interests, common goals, school, football, training, barbecuing, all the fun stuff that comes with college. And that really just, solidified that for me.
It's interesting you say that. You had parents that loved you.
Yeah.
You had a team that supported you. You had a coach that bought into you. You had skills. But because you didn't feel valued, you were starting to go the wrong way.
Right.
And all of a sudden, just took one person to say, I see you. You're special. We want you. And your whole life changed.
It really did. And, that was the head coach, John Bullock, at the time. A couple scouts along the way, too, who were like linebacker coaches. It was so refreshing to have, the college football coach say, like, you're good at this. And he was even my guiding light leaving college. Because, again, I had changed 4 years later. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to get a job and finish school. And, there's no way I'm going to ever play professional football. And so I was snowboarding a lot. I was finishing classes. I used part of my scholarship check to buy a season pass to Tahoe, because that's the way I could actually get food. I'd go and take 10 runs, and it calculates to $20, and I'd eat burgers and come home. It's 30 minutes away. So he's like, hey, you long snapping, you got a chance to do this. Scouts, we didn't have many scouts, but when they showed up, you get an answering machine message. Hey, come down tomorrow for your workout, do all these things, and bring that football, because they might want to see you long snap. And that, he was there until that moment of like, hey, you gotta care about this. We care about you. You should care about it more. So he was that kind of figure throughout college.
Just the encouragement along the way. Keep going. Like,
yeah.
You got something.
Right. You get it from your friends, and sometimes coaches can be hard on you. So it's tough to see it, but that's part of what team sports does. It's like, okay, you've overcome the bad stuff, and now through those bad times or those tough times, there are these encouraging factors. And he did it the most.
It's so funny how you're saying it's the encouragement that you've got this, you're special, versus do it better, you screwed up last time. You're now a dad with 4 kids.
Yeah.
What kind of coach are you to them?
Yeah. It definitely changed. And my kids, they're hard on themselves too. They want to see themselves improve. They want to try hard. 2 11-year-olds, boy and a girl, twins and 2 boys, and they love sports. They love doing good. They get down themselves when they don't do good. But as parents, my wife was a competitive dancer, and, I've been competitive my whole life. So we try to, the best we can, bring them up in the tough times. And, I have my rules when they play. It's like, try hard, be a good listener, celebrate with your teammates, and just hustle, right? And if you do those 4 things, the wins and losses are going to happen, but at least you've put it all out there so that you can correct something. What effort you gave. And so now it's like, okay, I messed this up, but I tried all these other ways. How do you slowly improve that and not be an error repeater?
That's right. And it sounds like you're literally principles as opposed to rules.
Right.
And a principle, you can, morph it to yourself.
Yep.
And so each one of your kids can follow those principles a bit differently.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah. It's fun seeing them react to it too. I mean, when I see them on the football field or see them playing soccer, they're celebrating with their teammates. They're trying hard. They listen to their coach. Sometimes at home, they don't listen to us, but you put them in a team scenario, they're listening. And the other kids are out there, picking daisies and not being good listeners. And the coaches recognize it. They're like, wow, you guys, have really done a good job. And I said, well, I feel like they're taking that coaching in or parenting or whatever you call it. And we lift them up in the bad times, and in the good times, we celebrate, but we're like, okay, like, let's on to the next, act like you've been there.
Yeah. We all need coaches.
Yeah.
We all need coaches in life and everything we're doing.
Yeah. It's so true.
It's a big time. So that time in life, high school, you almost went off the course and derailed. Has there been another time in your life where you've just started to stray too far out of the center lane?
Yeah. I would say it was after COVID, because after I got done playing football, I transitioned pretty good. I went from, playing 12 years in the league, and we had complications with our twins. And so my last year was just, my mind wasn't in it. I wanted to see my kids get out healthy, missed my last game, my last playoff game. And I just wanted healthy kids, and, had won the Super Bowls, had some money, and made the connections, and, really thought that, hey, my second career is going to pay off. So my transition was pretty good. Some guys struggle with that. And so, I didn't struggle with that as much, but my second transition from all the layoffs that happened after COVID at GoPro to like finding what my path is after that, it was definitely, in addition to all the news and negativity in the world, it was like, okay, what's next? I thought this ride was going to happen a lot longer. But I was able to fight through that through support, and again, through a lot of the connections and good that I've done along my time post-career, that came back in spades.
It's transitions, right? Because the unknown,
right?
It just makes them so hard. So you won Super Bowls, and to many people, that's the end of the rainbow. But I've talked to so many people who have made the end of their rainbow, and it didn't fill up like they thought it would. So when you won those first, second, third Super Bowl, was it as you expected? Did it change your life?
Oh, it changed my life dramatically. Of course. I mean, it's like the pinnacle of sports. But you still woke up the next day and brushed your teeth and put your clothes on, and you had a job to do, whether it was, obviously it's off season. You still had, some of your old friends. You probably gained a lot of new friends. There's a lot more variables, I would say, after you won. But as you get older, you kind of realize that, sports is only this small pocket of your life, and really taking those principles or those kind of nuggets along the way that you've learned of, accountability and hard work and determination, and put the team first. And, people want to call it the Patriot way, but those are the things that I think team sports in general just instill on you. I was able to pull from and say, okay, yes, we've won some Super Bowls. Great. What is that doing for me today? Nothing. I still have to kind of march forward. You don't get a job at GoPro because you won a Super Bowl. It's a nice shiny object, looks good. But there's a lot of stigmas that come with being a professional athlete and transitioning into the corporate world that, it's just a dumb jock and can't do these things. So I actually took my job, I think, more serious than some people did, because I did feel like I was getting cut every day or could get cut tomorrow if I didn't perform. And so I was harder on myself, harder on my kind of small team in marketing that I was with. So it definitely was not the end, but it's this nice little story along the way that, you know, opens a lot of doors. But you gotta make sure that you kind of you capitalize and you got your handle on that door.
So your identity has changed over the years.
Right.
You know, Super Bowl winner, GoPro executive, husband, father. But it sounds like the principles that you picked up as an athlete are what brings you forward. That's really what's part of you, as opposed to the title. It's the principles inside of you.
Yeah, I would say, and even as an entrepreneur, and someone who's kind of, you know, always trying to bring others together for whether it's a business objective or it's a film project or it's just a relationship where they need to, I feel like they might not know each other, but they need to. It's those principles that I can fall back on, and you know, most people who know me see me as a pretty honest person, and everyone's good intentions.
So you got the 4 principles, like the New England Patriots 4 principles. That's how you're raising your 4 kids on the Patriots 4 principles. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Does your wife buy into that?
She's Belichick. And so she keeps the schedule nice and tight, you know, keeps a crack in the whip when we break stride. But, you know, it's necessary in a house that we have and busy schedules that we have. And, you know, that was part of the reason I kind of went sideways after GoPro was the schedule. You know, it wasn't, she had nothing to do with it. It was more of like, you know, walking circles around my house, you know, endless emails to no response, you know, calls to people that they're looking too. There's no place for me to fit. So it was, it's that schedule. It's that kind of constant reminder that, yes, there's those principles, but, you know, at 2 p.m., you got to be here. I mean, that's why I come to a place like this. It's like such a release for me, because I come in the morning and I'm not part of the team that here at the Legion, but guys are in that schedule, and I can kind of mirror them a little bit.
Structure, purpose.
Right.
You might have principles without structure and purpose. You do walk in circles around your house.
I really do.
So what is your purpose today?
Oh, purpose today is delivering on the expectations that my kids probably see of me. You know, they hear some of the stories, they see some of the pictures, but, you know, they don't care that I won a Super Bowl when it's time to eat, or it's time to take them to practice, or it's time to, you know, go take them school shopping. It's all, you know, living in the moment. So my purpose is really every day just being that rock that they can look up to, and, you know, Dad did these things on the field, but he's also doing these things off the field that hopefully is creating the foundation for them to you know, create their own purpose.
Yeah, I think these team athletes are always other focused, because it's the team that matters.
Yeah.
Right. And as you become a father, you're family focused.
Right.
But that focus of helping others, you were mentioning that you're doing a movie right now to help others who are struggling mentally. How did that come about?
So as we were all, you know, getting cut from GoPro, we were all off looking for the next opportunity. And, one of my mates from Australia, reached out and said, "Hey, I got this athlete who I know who's, you know, he's got this treatment, you know, he's got the great story and he doesn't know where to take it. Like, you got any ideas? You know, can I introduce you?" And I love meeting other athletes and helping them out any way I can. And so when I saw the treatment, I'm not an expert on film, but one of my best friends he's won 11 Emmys and produced with Brian Gumbel of HBO Real Sports and head of content at the NFL. He's seen all these types of stories. And when he saw the treatment, he's like, wow, this story has a positive ending. You know, it's about traumatic brain injuries, and Kobe Stevens lost his career from concussions, but there are other treatments out there that you don't really get in these leagues or these team scenarios. You know, the old adage was, oh, you get a concussion, just, you know, lay in a dark room for a few days or a week and don't watch TV, and we'll test you again, and, you know, follow this with your eyes. There's so many other ways now to treat it, whether it's holistic medicine or, you know, breath work, or cold therapy, psilocybin. There's like so many things out there. So the story is really about him finding these tools and along the way meeting other athletes who have encountered the same injury, and with the help from his doctor and the help of some of these practices, overcome them. So the working title's Thrive, and it's been a passion project for us and first time doing it. And so, you know, I'm an executive producer, but my role is really kind of the glue of like building the team of experts, you know, and just empowering them to crush it.
People need to hear the story.
Yeah.
When you're knocked down, you need help.
Yeah.
Have you ever had that experience playing ball where it's a concussion or an injury that set you back and you just kind of lost your confidence from that?
Yeah, I tore my ACL in December of 2003. Tore it at halftime, but I finished the game, and because they didn't have another long snapper on the team. So, yeah, I couldn't really run down the field. I definitely couldn't go side to side. Found out after the game it was torn ACL, and season was over. First time I really dealt with an injury. And, you know, being in Boston, didn't have any family out there. You know, my parents, you know, come out once in a while. So I essentially did surgery on my own, you know, just with the team. And I woke up from surgery, and first guy to come see me was Brady. And he lives in Boston. And so he comes walking in. He's like, "What's up, Doc?" He calls me Doc. He's like, "Are you doing all right?" Yeah. You know, and I was like, you know, he was there 5-10 minutes, not a long time, but it's like, yeah, you know, that's what I needed, was because I'd never had this obstacle. I just needed to know that someone cared. And he took time out of his schedule to come say hi and see how I was doing. So, you know, I got through it. I was on the field the next year, but I had to sit and watch the Super Bowl down in Houston against the Panthers. And I remember that long snapper was struggling a bit in that game. So I'm sitting there, you know, beating myself up because I'm not out there doing better than he was doing. But when it came time for the game, when he kicked, he did it perfectly. So it worked out.
It's amazing. In a short conversation, two of the more influential moments in your life is somebody came to acknowledge your value.
Yeah.
And that's the impact on your whole entire life.
It really is.
5-minute conversation.
Yeah.
And you're talking about it now 20 years later.
I know.
It's incredible.
It is. It is.
So you've had this crazy successful life, and you're not halfway through, but what's been your superpower? What's the thing that has made you had success?
You know, I talk about this frequently, obviously, with some of my business partners, is I feel like I have this ability to connect the right people who need to know each other, whether it's in business, whether it's in sports, whether it's in post-career opportunities. You know, a lot of people deem themselves connectors. I'm sure they are. I'm sure there's a lot. I mean, that's necessary. You know, sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know. I'm a firm believer that you need to know stuff, but you also have to have a good network of people who trust you, believe in you, and trust that you have their best interests in their mind. So, I like to think that my superpower is putting people in a position to succeed. They might not have known each other before, but after that, there's going to be some success.
Once again, your other person focus, right? It's just how you're living your life.
Yeah.
So as we wrap it up, words of advice for somebody who's looking to follow your footsteps, young person just aspiring. What's the thing?
Yeah. You know, for me, I think I always tried to do a lot of things good, not something very good. I was dabbling, and because I didn't know, I was just trying it all. I was trying to help the team. And so once I found that thing, which this was long snapping, I really went full speed into it and harnessed the ability I was given. And so, you know, I try to tell young athletes, like, if you don't find that thing right out of the gate, it's okay, because you're exploring all these different avenues. Your superpower will come when you're able to pivot fast and not get frustrated that all these things, one's not rising above. Once you figure out what you don't like or you're not good at, move fast to the next thing, and that power is going to rise up out of that. So I always try to give them advice. We're all going to make mistakes. It's just how fast you correct them, which is going to make you successful.
Yeah, I've heard somebody say, Just try everything at the buffet, and you're going to hate a lot of it, but you might love something.
Yep.
Right? So the only way you find your superpower is by trying.
Yep.
I love that. Well, thank you for your time today. It's really good talking to you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, bud.
Oh, hit the backboard though.
Oh, man, this one's deflated. Is this a joke? Consistency, though. Consistent. Kind humans. The guy who actually brought me into GoPro, Justin Wilkenfeld, started with his wife, Susie. Started as a marketplace, like an Amazon for goods, so to speak. But the messages are what really stand out. Rock your badge of kindness, protect the planet, kindness is magic. When you put this stuff on your head, it makes a statement.